We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Hey Amud Aleph in Meseches Rosh Hashana. This is Rosh Hashana Daf 35a. On the previous summit, we had a contradiction within Rabbi Yochanan. Does Rabbi Gamliel and the Chachamim, do they still dispute this issue of whether the Shliach Tzibur can be motzi the public in terms of the brachos of the Amida? Or no, did the Chachamim really admit to Rabbi Gamliel and the Chachamim really agree that the Shliach Tzibur can be motzi the Rabbim? And so the Gemara now says, Kisolek Rabbi Abba Miyome. So when Rabbi Abba came back from his trip overseas, Persha, he explained it as follows. Modim Chachamim Rabbi Gamliel. The Chachamim admit to Rabbi Gamliel bebrachos shel Rosh Hashana v'shel Yom HaKippurim. With reference to the brachos of Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, there the Chachamim agreed to Rabbi Gamliel that the Shliach Tzibur can be motzi everyone. V'halacha michlal de pligi. Now where Rabbi Yochanan said the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, implying that the machlokes still remains, that's bebrachos to kol Hashana. That's by the brachos throughout the rest of the year. There is still a machlokas between the Chachamim and Rabbi Gamliel whether the Shliach can be motzi, whether the Shliach Tzibur can be motzi everyone else. But the Gemara continues, Ini, is this really so? Is this really a good answer? But Rabbi Chana Tzipora said, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, halacha k'Rabban Gamliel bebracha shel Rosh Hashana v'shel Yom HaKippurim. He said no. He said specifically that Rabbi Yochanan said the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel when it comes to the brachas of Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, and that implies that the Chachamim do not admit to Rabbi Gamliel's position even when it comes to Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur. Sounds like they continue to argue, and so the Gemara says, Elo Amar of Nachman bar Yitzchak. Rather, of Nachman bar Yitzchak answers as follows: Man modim Rabbi Meir. When we say that there's somebody that admits, the person that admits, that happens to be the Tana Rabbi Meir, admits to Rabbi Gamliel. V'halacha mechlal de pligi Rabbanan. And when Rabbi Yochanan made the statement that the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, implying there's still a machlokas going on, that was the position of the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan still argue with Rabbi Gamliel. The Tanya, as we learned in a brayso, bracha shel Rosh Hashana v'shel Yom HaKippurim. When it comes to these brachas of Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, Shliach Tzibur motzi harabim yedei chovas on divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says that the Shliach Tzibur could be motzi the Rabbim. Again, you see Rabbi Meir agrees with Rabbi Gamliel's position. The Chachamim say, Kashem shel Shliach Tzibur chayev, just like the Shliach Tzibur is chayev, kach kol yochid v'yochid chayev, so to every individual is chayev to say the brachas on their own. And the Gemara continues, Ma'ishna hani, what's the difference that by these brachas, the Gemara's understanding that Rabbi Meir only admits by the brachas of Rosh Hashana and Yom HaKippurim, there he admits that the Shliach Tzibur can be motzi the Rabbim, but it's not true when it comes to the brachas throughout the year. So why are these brachas different? Gemara says, if you're going to say, because there are many psukim, Rashi over here says, in other words, you have all these psukim mentioned by the carbon musaf that's mentioned of Rosh Hashanah, of Rosh Chodesh, you have psukim by Malchios, Zechronos, and Shofros. So maybe because there's a lot of psukim, that's why Rabbi Meir admits by Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur that the Shliach Tzibur could be motzi the Rabbim. But the Gemara says that Rav Chananel said in the name of Rav, as long as the person says Uvasorascha Kasav Lemor, as Rashi over here says, Kevan Shamar Uvasorascha Kasav Kilomar, Kevan Shamar Nasa V'Nakriv Lefanecha Kemitzvas Retonecha. Once you say that we're going to bring these, when there's a Beis HaMikdash, we'll bring these karbanos like the proper mitzvah, Kimosha Kasav Delena Besorasecha, as it says in your Torah. Once you say that, Shuvei Notzarach, you don't need to say anything more. You don't need any more of the psukim. So that can't be, the reason cannot be just because of the psukim. And so the Gemara says, no, Ela Mishum Da'avshi Brachas. The real reason is because there's a lot of brachas. Rashi over here says, Ela Mishum Da'avshi Shehare Kantesha. There's already 9 brachas, Varuchos, they're long brachas. Umitos, they not called Bekian Ben. There's a lot of room to make a mistake because not everybody is an expert at it. And so therefore, by these particular brachas, Rabbi Meir is more lenient and says the Shliach Tzibur can be motzi the public. And Rashi continues, V'Rabbosai Mefarshah, now he says, my rabbis explain, L'hadar Rav Chananel b'Malchios v'Zechronos v'Shofros. It's talking specifically about Malchios, Zechronos, and Shofros, the Kashli, but that's difficult. Hadalo Rabbanan v'lo Rav Yochanan ben Nuri. That would not follow the Rabbanan or Rav Yochanan ben Nuri. The Tanan, because we learned in the Mishnah, Ein Pochsen me'asar Malchios v'chulu. It says you have to have a certain number of psukim. There are a minimum number of psukim. In other words, this statement over here of Rav Chananel Amar Rav, who says, as long as you say Uvesorascha Kosav Lemor, so Rashi had explained that it's going on the carbon musaf. All these karbanos that we're mentioning, you only need to say Uvesorascha Kosav Lemor. You don't need to mention all of these extra psukim. Rashi's saying his rabbis explained that no, we're talking about the psukim of Malchios, Zechronos, and Shofros. You only need to say one pasuk from the Torah, but that Rashi does not agree with because we said earlier in the Masechta that you do need to have a minimum number of psukim. And the Gemara continues, Gufa, returning to what we just quoted above, Amar Rav Chananel Amar Rav, again Rav Chananel said in the name of Rav, Kevan Shamar Uvesorascha Kosav Lemor Shuvei Notzarech. Once you say say V'sorascha Kosav Lemor, that's enough. We just saw the machlokas between Rashi and Rashi's Rebbeim regarding the statement. But in any case, the Gemara says, Savra Mina Hani Mili B'Yachid. They thought to say that this statement over here, that all you need to say is V'sorascha Kosav Lemor, that's by an individual who's praying. Avlo B'tzibur Lo, but in a congregation, maybe that would not be the case. But the Gemara says, Itmar, it was learned, Amar Rav Yoshua ben Levi. Rav Yoshua ben Levi said, Echad Yachid, Echad Tzibur, doesn't matter if it's an individual, doesn't matter if it's a tzibur, a congregation. Kevan Shamar V'sorascha Kosav Lemor, Shuven Otzarech. As long as you say V'sorascha Kosav Lemor, that is enough. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rebbe Elazar says, Liolam Yasser Adam Tfilaso V'Achar Kach Yispalel. A person should always arrange his tefillah first, and then he should daven. In other words, he should arrange the tefillah in his mind before he davens. Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Abba says, Mistabra Milsid Rebbe Elazar. It makes sense what Rebbe Elazar is saying, with brachas shel Rosh Hashana, v'shel Yom HaKippurim, v'shel Prakim. When you're talking about the brachas of Rosh Hashana, Yom Kippur, or other things that are said intermittently that you're not so fluent in. Avol D'chol Hashana lo, but if it's just the davening you do all year, so that people know how to do, you don't have to arrange it in your mind beforehand in order to daven properly, because it's something that's easy to do. Gemara says, Ini, is that really true? But Rav Yehuda misader tzlosei umatzli. But on the contrary, Rav Yehuda used to arrange first his davening. He used to go through the davening first, and only then he would daven. So the Gemara says, no, Shani Rav Yehuda was different. Kevan de mitzlasen yom and letlasen yom and have a matzli, since he only davened once every 30 days, kiprakim dami. So for him, even the regular davening was considered intermittent. Rashi over here says, mitzlasen letlasen shayim mechazer talmud kol shloshim yom. Every 30 days he would review everything he learned. Due to his learning, he was actually pater from tefillah. So since he didn't daven that frequently, he would need to arrange it beforehand. The Gemara continues, Amar Rav Acha bar Avira, Amar Rav Shimon Chasida. Rav Acha bar Avira says in the name of Rav Shimon Chasida, Poter hoyer Rabbi Gamliel afilu amsha besados. Rabbi Gamliel would say even the people who are out in the fields, the shliach tzibur can pater them by davening. His davening can count on their behalf. V'lo mi boy hani dekami hacha, and it's certainly true about those people who are here present in the city. Gemara says, what do you mean it's certainly true? Adrab, on the contrary, Hani Anisi, the people out in the fields, they're on us. They're in a situation where they can't help it. They can't make it to davening. So it makes sense that they would be pater, they would be taken care of. But Hani Lo Anisi, but the people who are in the city who could have come to davening and they didn't come, why should the Shliach Tzibur pater them? It shouldn't be Velomi Boy. It shouldn't be more likely that they're patered. On the contrary, that would be a bigger chiddush to say that they're patered. So the Gemara says, the Tani Abba Breiderev Binyamin Barchia. The Gemara proves this point because Abba Breiderev Binyamin Barchia taught, Amsha Achore Kohanim Einon Bechlal Bracha. When it comes to Birchas Kohanim, the people who are standing behind the Kohanim, they're not part of the bracha, meaning it's very easy for them to get in front of the Kohanim. So we don't say the bracha automatically goes on them. We say they should have done it. They should have come in front of the Kohanim to receive the bracha. So the same thing is true of the people in the city who could attend the davening. They should attend the davening. If they want to be Yotzei, we shouldn't say that the Shliach Tzibur automatically paters them. And so the Gemara says, Elo kiyasa Ravin Amar Rabbi Yaakov Baridi Amar Rav Shimon Chasida. Rather, when Ravin came, he said in the name of Rabbi Yaakov Baridi, in the name of Rav Shimon Chasida, Lo pater Rabbi Gamliel Elo Amsha Besadas. What we're really saying is, Rabbi Gamliel only paters those who are out in the fields. My time, what's the reason? Mishum da'anisi b'malacha, because they are on us, because they're doing work. They can't make it to the tefillah. Avol be'ir lo, but those who are in the cities, they are not patered by the shliach tzibur. Rashi over here says, Poter hayesh shliach tzibur motziim. Like we said again, the shliach tzibur is motzi these individuals who are not there. Einon bechlal bracha. Those who are not in front of the kohanim are not part of the bracha of the birchas kohanim. Ve'aval bisha amsha besadus bechlal bracha. Now, even though the people out in the fields are part of the birchas kohanim, hani demotzel lemeisek kame kohanim, because very simply, those people who could have easily just went in front of the kohanim, v'yifno kohanim aleim v'yivarchem, and the kohanim could turn to them and give them the bracha. V'heim lobo, and they didn't come when they could have. Einon bechlal bracha. They're not part of the bracha. Avol de'ir lo. Again, those in the city, they're not part of it automatically. Mishum de lo anise. They were not on us. They were not in a situation. They could have come to shul. V'yacholin lahaz their tfilasin. They could have arranged their tefillah. Hadron alach yom tov uslik olam Meseches Rosh Hashana. This is the conclusion of the fourth parak of Meseches Rosh Hashana and the conclusion of Meseches Rosh Hashana. If you're enjoying these videos and this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And please take a look at the description box below to see how you can support this channel. Mazel tov to those who have finished the Masechta.